Now to the story which has ruffled a lot of feathers within our creative fraternity. An advisory was shot off today by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry, advising Sony Television to not telecast its latest episode of the popular crime show Dastak. This was an episode which was deconstructing the Delhi gang rape case. It's also urged other channels to be extremely sensitive when it comes to reporting on ground realities. Mihir Trivedi has the latest on that.
Popular crime series Crime Patrol invited an advisory from the Information and Broadcast Ministry on Friday morning, in direct fallout to the brutal Delhi gang rape case. The I&B Ministry has advised general entertainment channel Sony to not telecast Friday's episode of its popular crime serial Crime Patrol Dastak. This after the show's promos suggested construction of the gang rape case and the protests that followed. It even had a tagline saying Delhi rape case.
ये बहुत ही अत्यंत संवेदनशील मामला है। बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न खड़ा होता है कि जो धारा 19 है भारत की संविधान की, उसके तहत जो बोलने और लिखने की आज़ादी दी गई है, उसके ऊपर किस तरह के नियंत्रण लगाए जा सकते हैं।
Asking Sony to be sensitive to ground realities, the ministry extended the advisory to other general entertainment channels as well. Meanwhile, Crime Patrol's host, actor Anup Soni, claimed that while the show format seeks inspiration from various real-life crime incidents, it does so with the aim of sensitizing, not sensationalizing.
The approach of our show is very, very sensitive. Our purpose is not to sensationalize anything, not to glorify crime, not to titillate people. Every episode, end of the episode, I come and say, अपना ख्याल रखें, सुरक्षित रहें और सतर्क रहें.
While the channel hasn't issued an official statement as yet, according to reports, it will not be airing the episode in question. In Mumbai, Mihir Trivedi.
Okay, so what do we make out of this? Is this an attempt being made by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry simply to guide television channels? Or is there something more to this story? That's the talking point tonight. I&B Ministry has stopped airing of television serial on Delhi gang rape. Is this, in a sense, an attempt being made to curb creative freedom? And joining me tonight to answer that big question, people on all sides of that debate, well-known filmmaker Ashok Pandit is joining us. Also with us, Vishal Malhotra, he's an actor. Ranjana Kumari is joining us here in our studios, representing the Congress side, Pradyut Deb Burman. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us. Let me first begin with you, Pradyut, though. There is something about this incident, the gang rape incident in Delhi, which seems to have really scared the central government and the Delhi government. Why is it that the Information and Broadcasting Ministry has had to resort to shooting off this advisory to Sony Channel, asking it to be extremely sensitive? At the end of the day, who should be taking the decision of adhering to sensibilities? Should it be the viewer or should it be the government?
That's a very good question that you've asked, Bhavendra. What I'm trying to say is that it is an advisory at the end of the day. An advisory is not necessarily in diktat. What has the Information and Broadcasting Ministry eventually asked? Is asked them to be sensitive and advised to treat this with utmost caution.
Okay.
More than that, to read more than that into this subject would be, again, sensationalizing.
Should I just, since you're trying to make out a distinction between what you believe is an advisory and what you believe is a diktat, let me just read out the operative portion of this advisory, as you call it. The Information and Broadcasting Ministry has advised entertainment channel Sony to refrain from telecasting the January 11 episode of Crime Patrol Dastak. Please look at this. Has advised the channel to refrain.
Yeah.
It's not as if it's just a simple advice. It's not just as if the ministry is saying that, look, this is what we expect you to do. It's almost as if the ministry is saying this is what we want you to do.
Well, a lot of advices are issued from time to time. It does not mean that you have to comply with it. It is a indicative. No. You know what happened with the entire SMS?
But why? I'm questioning that. I'm questioning the need for issuing of this advisory. Here you are talking about an episode which has been widely reported, not just by the domestic media, by the international media. What is it that's so scary for the government? What is it that you expect could happen that you have to ask the producer of the show or the channel to be extremely sensitive? Why don't you just let the viewer decide what is sensitive, what is sensible or not? Let the viewer decide that.
No, I think there is a question of certain amount of self-regulation. I myself am from the media fraternity. a lot of advices issued to us. And this, if you consider this harsh language, I think we've received far more harsher languages. I come from Northeast. When the SMS campaign went, we were given very harsh advisories. They were more like diktats.
So you don't make much of this advisory?
I think eventually it is up to the channel if they want to put it across or not.
Okay.
What the central government has, according to me, said that please use this with utmost caution. With the amount of sensationalization which is going on, not by all channels, but by certain channels, it is well advised for us to keep this within a parameter of rationalization and sensitive. You have to be sensitive.
Okay, well, I think Ranjana Kumari, that's a good point. That's a good point that Mr. Burban is making here, that at the end of the day, there is also a case for greater amount of self-regulation. Unfortunately, Ranjana ji, you're living in a time where self-regulation doesn't work and any kind of external regulation is not welcome in any form whatsoever. How do you then move forward? Is it really possible for the government of the day to put a limit to creative freedom?
Well, Bhupen, it would have been best if there was self-restraint and every channel would have really respected that idea of self-restraint and not gone for so-called creative freedom. Because we know that in such cases, the case which has really shaken the conscience of the nation, everybody is upset, everybody is angry, you don't have reconstruct the whole story again and again and throw it on people in the name of creative freedom. And I think also to show those gory details and also to, the such heinous crime, you don't want to shake the people's memory.
No, but what are you objecting to, Ranjana ji?
Prick it.
What are you objecting to, Ranjana ji? Are you saying that the channel should not be talking about this entire episode at all? Or are you questioning the treatment to this story, the treatment to the event that this channel was about to indulge in?
Well, Bhupen, normally every channel has been talking about the story from day one, from minute one, from the day you heard and from the minute you heard. So nobody is objecting to reporting it, nobody is objecting to follow-up of what is happening, everybody wants to know, and as a report you will come up with all that. But when you start reconstructing the story, and we have seen in such cases where you bring in all kinds of issues to sensationalize it, to titillate people, to create kind of stories which are intolerable. You can ask the people, we all really hate those creative freedoms, and they are not creative freedom as you are calling them. They are absolutely outright marketing a misery, marketing a kind of issue which we don't want it to be explained. We want to be explained, we want to be told, but we don't want to be getting it used by a channel. Anybody.
Okay.
It should have been best that they had followed a self-restraint and not do it.
Okay.
I think we will appeal to everyone not to do such kind of a reconstruction of the story. We want to know what is happening to the culprit, we want to know the news, we want to know other details, but we don't want reconstruction of the story so that you get a chance to talk about every single detail and put the girl into what happened,
Let me just take that to Ashok Pandit. Just hold on. Let me take that to Ashok Pandit. Ashok ji, you've listened to the comments being made here by our two panelists here. First, tell me, do you agree with this notion of an advisory being sent to a channel which, frankly speaking, has sealed the fate of that episode? I don't think it's going to appear now.
You see, Bhupendra, I've been hearing to the comments made by your panelists. The tragedy is that the insensitive people are asking sensitive people to be sensitive. The tragedy is that. We have seen the insensitiveness of the politicians while they tackle the protesters. We have seen the insensitiveness of the system, the police, that they couldn't save the rape victim. And when they have failed, they are telling us to be sensitive. That is what is bizarre. This is nothing else but an emergency. If this is the case, tomorrow I cannot telecast Tamas on television, which was a serial on partition. I cannot make war films. If the same nation, if the same government is giving a national award to a film called Farzania, which was made on the Gujarat riots, which showed the killings and massacres of common people, they have awarded such films which have shown even now and then. You as a news channel, Ranjana ji said, let us not remind people of whatever is happening. Till today, we are seeing the visuals of Babri Mosque being demolished.
Right.
Are we not seeing Sikh rights visuals till today on the news channels?
Right.
Are we not reminded by the news channels of all the ghastly things which has happened in the country?
But Mr. Pandit, may I just interrupt you? May I just interrupt you for a second, Ashok? No. Because let me put it this way. Let me just put it this way. While you are talking about this issue, let me also say that the other issue, which has also been discussed threadbare in the media these days, is the tension which exists on the line of control. Now, I see some channels and some newspapers almost coming to this conclusion where there is a war which is taking place between India and Pakistan. Why doesn't the Information and Broadcasting Ministry issue an advisory there that please do not be jingoistic in your coverage, please do not create situation which will add to tension? There the government is very careful because that suits the government, so therefore the government will not say anything.
Bhupendra, it pains me as a maker when people accuse us of being insensitive. We are people who belong to this nation and we have done wonders to bring reality in front of the people. If this episode would have been seen, I can assure you, the maker is one of the finest makers of television shows, the Crime Patrol, who has made brilliant episodes.
Right.
Sensitivity is maintained. All these people, see, I am a maker, I might not come on the street to fight and street to protest.
Right.
I as a maker has a right to protest against such crimes which is happening in the country.
So the bottom line is, what you're saying that the decision of treatment must necessarily be left. I'm coming to you, Ranjana ji, I'm coming to you. I mean, the point which Ashok Pandit makes is also important, Ranjana ji. At the end of the day, why aren't you willing to trust the maker? Why aren't you willing to trust the director, producer, the viewer? What is the need for the government to come in and start deciding what the viewer should be watching and what the viewer should not be watching?
Well, in the very beginning, I said I wish there was a self-restraint. The case is in the court; it is sub judice. There is, everybody wants to know every detail of it, but you cannot really produce something. We have seen earlier also in the rape cases the way indirectly or directly you want to make all kinds of sexist, all kinds of misogynistic scenes in those cases. You want to present it to people so that people, I do not know which kind of feelings you want to evoke in the people when you show all this, and why do you want to show it?
Okay.
I want to know who are these people? Were they part of the protest? Are they the people? And what kind of a sensitivity are they talking about? Please leave this case alone. Let us go for justice. What is important is justice.
Just speak one by one. Just speak one by one. Okay, just speak one by one. May I just request both of you to just speak one by one? I want to bring in, I also want to bring in Vishal. I want to bring in Vishal for a second, because let me also hear from him. Vishal, at the end of the day, you can look at all kinds of international examples. You have the United Kingdom, where there is a press commission, which many believe is a toothless body. In India, you have the Press Council of India, where there is an entire raging debate which is taking place about whether electronic media should be coming under the purview of the Press Council of India or not. You have cinema, where all kinds of dialogues are often used. I mean, if the Information and Broadcasting Ministry is feeling so concerned about a particular channel's coverage of a particular issue, which has been widely reported by everyone, why doesn't the Information and Broadcasting Ministry or the Censor Board also look seriously at dialogues like "Doodh mangoge, kheer denge, Kashmir mangoge, cheer denge"? Isn't that also something which should be worrying us?
Thank you, Bhupendra, for giving me the opportunity. Firstly, I just want to tell you that, yes, why? Why only these particular dialogues? Why not the specific news channels that you're talking about? As far as I would watch, if I come home from a late days of work and I switch on any television channel, specifically the news ones, I would get scared that I think there's a war going on between India and Pakistan, as you mentioned. My second question is to all those who are advising this prestigious channel not to air this prestigious show. Have they even seen this episode? I personally know and have worked with the producers of Crime Patrol, and my question is, and my point is, they are extremely responsible makers. I just want to tell you that they are not ones who will sensationalize this, but would dramatize it with the actual facts. My second point is that, as a lot of people will not be aware, but the channel, Sony Entertainment Television, is head by a lady. And I'm sure that she has portrayed and proved to everybody over the years that she has been extremely sensitive and extremely professional in airing things which are absolutely exactly what it is meant to be. Look, I just want them to say, have a look at the episode before you turn around and, well, advise the channel not to air the show. Because as you had very clearly made this point right in the beginning, is that it really sounds like a diktat rather than an advice. And I'm sure there's a lot of terminology going around which says, look, there have been harsher ways in which people have given advices, but no. Listen, it is a very sensitive issue, but please give us, the citizens of this country, the viewers of Crime Patrol, the viewers of Sony Entertainment Television or any other channel, give us the credibility that we are intelligent, independent and self-thinking individuals. We are the future of this country. We're not going to be mocked by people who say, do this so it will happen.
Ashok, I'm going to come to you, Ashok, but I just want to go back to Pradyut for a second.
I'd like to get back.
No, hold on. Because let me put this politically.
Okay.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I see a pattern here within the Congress party where your party leaders are deliberately making an attempt to somehow control all mediums of communication. Your own leader, Meenakshi Natarajan, who happens to be a member of parliament, last year wanted to bring in a bill in parliament which was asking for such stringent controls and regulations on the media that it would have been absolutely impossible for anyone to criticize the establishment. Rajiv Gandhi in 1988 wanted to bring in a bill which would have ensured that anyone who would have criticized him or his party would have straightaway been sent to jail. Is this an attempt being made by the Congress party in the garb of sending these advisories to somehow put a lid on the media? Whether it's cinema, television,
I'll actually answer you. Regarding Rajiv Gandhiji's 88, I probably wasn't even mentally active to be in a political sphere. Regarding Meenakshi Natarajan bringing on the bill last year, I don't think
she wanted to. She absented herself on the last day.
And that's because there were better sense prevail amongst the party members and amongst us. People like us, we've been in media for 6 years. I don't think we need a single, we don't need regulation which tends to curb our voices. Now coming back to what Ashok Pandit ji is saying, he's a very well-known filmmaker. I've watched his movies myself. There are situations, what Ranjana Kumari ji is saying is actually extremely important. There are situations which cannot be aired when the matter is still in court, especially which is highly sensitive as this matter. We have a fast-track court.
No, how is the airing of Crime Patrol going to affect? Just let him finish.
Let me finish. I'm coming back.
You make your point. You make your point, Pradeep.
We can air the show 10 days from now, 15 days from now. There's no problem. It is an advisory. People say that it is a diktat. Well, Sony is free to go ahead and air the channel, air the program. What can happen at the most?
Right.
Second part, what other panelists said, it is not about Sony. Sony is an extremely responsible channel. I watch Dastak Crime Patrol myself.
Right.
But that advisory is not specifically meant for a particular channel, a particular head.
I think I must bring in more facts than before you. Let me also read another advisory which was also put out by the Information and Broadcasting Ministry
regarding this matter,
regarding this same issue, and this was related to coverage by television channels. And it said that it has been observed that some private satellite news TV channels in their coverage have not been showing due responsibility and maturity in telecasting the events. Look at the advisory which has been sent today. Please refrain from telecasting this episode of Crime Patrol. My limited point is just this, Mr. Burman. Why is the government getting involved in all this? What is moral? What is immoral? That's not the job of the government to decide. Surely, would you agree with that, Mr. Burman?
I think the question is not about morality. The question is about sensitivity.
But the government is trying to define morality, sensitivity, all in its very
it is a matter of interpretation. If you would like to interpret sensitivity with morality, then we can open a Pandora's box.
Okay.
There was a time when 26/11 happened. A chief minister from Maharashtra had to resign because he took a filmmaker, Ram Gopal Varma.
So it can work both ways.
It can work both ways.
It can work both ways.
When there was last year, I believe there was a movie which came out regarding that software engineer with that actress, Ram Gopal Varma again made a movie.
Yes.
The whole media fraternity criticized, saying that this was taking an advantage of the situation. I'm not trying to club these two situations together, but I think there is a case where we need to be sensitive in this matter specifically.
But Ashok Pandit, if we have to be sensitive, do we need the government to be telling us how we should be sensitive?
Bhupendra, I'll tell you, the only thing which can come out of this is that the guilt of the government the weakness of the government, not able to handle all these issues, is being shirked away to somebody, and we makers, the entertainment industry, have always been the victims of the failures of the government, and it's the biggest tragedy. Here we have the girl's father shouting at the top of the voice that this is my daughter's name, I want everything to be in the open, I want the nation to know, I want the world to know what the tragedy is, and here a politician sitting in his room is saying that, well, you don't show this or you don't show that.
You know,
tomorrow,
he's actually not said that. He's actually retracted.
You're making the point that you're making, Mr. Pandit, is also quite interesting, and that's also something I was thinking about. And let me take that to Vishal maybe, and Vishal, you can take this one. You know, you're living in a time. Just a second, Ranjana ji. You're living in a time, Vishal, where while the Indian media has imposed this regulation on our own selves that we will not be reporting on the whereabouts of the victim's family, on the identity of the victim itself, you look at international publications today who have put out the photograph of the father, reports have been carried out where the family stays, house, everything. In today's time where information is just a click away, is it really possible for the government to control information flow if it really wants to, Vishal?
Not at all. Please, not at all. My question, that just answers your question directly, but I have a question for all those who are opposing the airing of this program. It's a very simple question. I'm sorry, but I haven't understood why. I haven't got any logical explanation in the last 10-15 minutes of this discussion as to why. Is it because it's an extremely sensitive issue? Is it because it's such a high-profile case? Is it because it's still in the courts? Well, a point of reference is the other episodes. Over 100 episodes of crime episodes, Crime Patrol, which has been aired. Have a look at it. Have a look at those episodes and tell me.
It's the fear of what?
Exactly.
Ashokji, it's the fear of what?
It's the fear of what?
I tell you,
of what?
It is a fear of the system to get exposed. It is a fear of the system that this maker might have shown something which will be questionable, or question will be raised against
so
the
then,
system.
Ranjana Kumari, would you recalibrate your position then? Would you recalibrate your position in light of what Ashok Pandit is saying?
Bhupen, your discussion is mixing two things. One, that advisory from the government. We know that if there was a self-restraint by the media, when you self-restrained yourself and said you will not cover the last rites, then the girl was brought in, every single channel.
I was only trying to question whether it's possible for the government to control information in today's time.
But it is a question. It is a question of women's dignity. It is a question of people getting hurt. The whole nation is hurt at the moment. You don't want these issues to be, described in the manner that all these crime programs do. We all know what they do. We are not questioning how sensitive they are.
I'm sorry. No, I have to.
You cannot. And we don't. We will not.
We always have dignity. I object to the statement as far the maker is concerned.
I have to intervene here.
We are sensitive people.
Please allow me.
Just one by one.
Please allow me to
intervene. Let me take.
Bhupendra, please. Bhupendra, please allow me.
Let Ranjana Kumari finish her point.
What is it that you will investigate?
Let Ranjana Kumari finish her point.
We don't want to market
Ashok and Vishal, just hold on. Just let Ranjana Kumari finish her point first. Ranjana ji, complete your point. Go ahead.
Listen to me. This is about dignity of women. This is about the case which is in the court. This is about what is it that you will investigate, and police and all the agencies with 1,000-page charge sheet has not investigated. What are you trying to prove? What is it that you want to market?
So you're saying that there is a fear, Ranjana ji. You're saying there is a fear that there could be some inference. There could be innuendos which could be included as fact.
No, what is it that is making you show the whole thing to the people?
Mr. Pandit, just hold on, Ashok ji, just hold on.
Society? Is it achievement of relationship? What is it? Is it achievement of Indian society? You want to show it back to India?
Let Vishal respond. Ranjana ji, you made your point. Let Vishal respond. Vishal, your turn, Vishal.
Ranjana ji, yes, thank you. Ranjana ji, I just want to tell you that I personally, and I can only speak for myself, absolutely respect all women. All right, this is not, I don't know why this whole topic is becoming so politicized, so government versus us. What can the government do except to monitor the situation? Let me finish. To govern the situation and to probably fast forward the thing. But the change has to come in us, the men of this country and the world for that matter. It is wrong to look at a woman in a non-dignified manner. Simple. She's your mother, she's your sister, she's your wife. That's it.
No, but tell me, Vishal, let me put it this way. I was asking Pradyut earlier this question, Vishal.
One last point.
Is it possible for you as an actor, you belong to the creative fraternity, is it possible for creativity to be defined and say that this much of creativity is acceptable to me, but beyond this red line, creativity is not acceptable to me? Can you define that?
No, the answer to that is not. You cannot define it, but you can be responsible. Me as an actor, I'm sure if I may speak for Ashokji, please pardon me, but we are responsible individuals. Why should we demonize? Why should we, why should we remove the dignity of such an important case, such an important and horrid topic as rape? No, nobody's making judgments. Please, I would just repeat one point.
But who's doing that, Vishal?
Who's exactly? Who's doing that? That's what.
Mr. Pandit.
In the episode.
No, hold on.
That's my point. That's my point. Have you even seen the episode?
Mr. Pandit, would you also not agree, sir, that somewhere along the line, whether it is cinema or it's news or entertainment, don't you think that there is a strong need for greater regulation? I mean, I was just giving you the example of the coverage of the standoff which is taking place at the line of control. It's impossible to make out what is jingoism, what is reality, what is fact. It's just impossible. How are you going to determine that? So I'm questioning, in fact, that the government should have given an advisory there, where the government has not given any advisory.
No, Bhupendra. If my soldier has come beheaded without a head, I have a right to react. I have a right to make an episode on that. I have a right to make a film on that, whether you call it jingoism or whether you call it.
But you think tomorrow? But then, will the government come up with an advisory on that coverage also at a later stage? Do you, by this logic, the government would well say that don't report on that too?
No, they will.
Bhupendra, one valid point.
They are heading towards that.
Yeah, Vishal, you want to make a quick point?
Yeah, one very quick point. You were talking about the whole censorship issue, if I may say so broadly.
Yes.
After a feature film is made, all right, there's a special screening, and the first screening is for the censorship board. They have a look at the film, and if there's anything objectable, then the censorship turns around and gives the advice to it. In this particular case, I am very, very sure, all right, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this particular episode of Crime Patrol has not been seen by any kind of censorship board. So I would just
the promos have been seen.
Have a look at this
just
episode.
The promos have been seen.
Exactly.
Just the trailers have been seen.
Have a look. 1 minute. Let me finish this point. Have a look at this episode. After that, if you have any valid points to advise or to dictate, then you are in your right. But not before that. And secondly, how does everybody know the facts of this case before anybody has talked about it even?
Okay.
We have come to know about these facts.
So, Pradyut, final question.
Can I
final question. Let me give final question then to Mr. Burman here. You are someone who's putting on two hats here in a sense. You're also from the media and you happen to be the General Secretary of the Congress Party from Tripura. At the end of the day, do you not think that the Congress is taking it too far by trying to determine what is ethical, what is acceptable, what is unacceptable? And I repeat my statement. What is morally correct? What is morally incorrect? Why is the government getting into this area?
Can I be just given a couple of things, right? Sure. First, I actually really liked what Vishal had to say. I think it's extremely important that we also look at what the content is coming, so we can have a look at it. I think that's a healthy suggestion, and we should. I respect it personally as a person from the media.
It's my right
now, Panditji,
go ahead, brother.
Why Ranjana Kumarji is a lady who I have a lot of respect for, and she's spoken very eloquently on the sensitivity of the matter. I think she's the only lady in this panel, and I think I respect what she has said. Coming back finally to Panditji, I'm sorry if I'm playing the devil's advocate, but then we say that Bollywood is extremely creative, right to self-regulation. Over the last, hasn't rape been glorified in by a lot of filmmakers in Bollywood?
Depiction of women.
Item numbers, chikni chamelis. No. So this entire question that we don't sexualize our women, we don't tell. This is something where even Bollywood has to introspect.
Okay.
This item number thing which happens.
So quick response from Ashok Pandit. Quick response from you, Ashok ji, because that's true.
That's true.
There are many questions which have been raised about the manner in which women have been treated in Bollywood, Mr. Pandit.
I want to answer this politician friend of mine.
Just let Ashok Pandit answer. Yes, Ashok.
All the crimes happen because of violence, and the maximum violence we see.
But he's not answering the question.
I think the telecast of the parliament session should be stopped.
So you are saying that cinema basically reflects the reality of the society, and therefore
he didn't answer your question.
He's making
he's putting a question on top of a question.
He's saying that
why
because
don't you
there's a problem with the society.
All these item numbers which come, don't we degrade our women ourselves?
Bottom line is this. This is very funny. Maybe there is a case.
It's a form of art.
See, if we have to be regulated, you also need to respect.
Mr. Pandit, I've run out of time.
Beheading people and giving Sunny Deol dialogues doesn't work.
Let us talk about Muslims.
I think what is happening.
You are the only one making speeches here.
You need a scenario where some amount of regulation, if self-regulation is not working, maybe some amount of guidance is required. But the guidance which seems to be coming from the Information Broadcasting Ministry, is that the kind of guidance you require or not? That really is a million-dollar question. Thanks so much to all of you for joining me on the panel tonight. I guess the jury will always be out on just how much can we really expect from the government and how much can we accept in terms of advice that always seems to be coming from the government. Okay, lots of other news stories also which have been developing today. The Supreme Court has made some very, very strong observations about lack of safety for women in the national capital. While listening to a public interest litigation, the court said that there is no safety for women in Delhi and that they must be provided with a safe environment to live with dignity. Supreme Court was hearing a PIL which was filed by a Supreme Court advocate after the Delhi gang rape, seeking abolition of the widely criticized two-finger test and the cancellation of permits of all vehicles violating the Motor Vehicles Act. Well, the Delhi gang rape case, followed by angry protests from citizens across the country, saw tall promises being made by authorities to ensure safety of women in Delhi. Less than a month later, a ground check reveals that the new women's helpline not only takes more than a couple of phone calls, but also almost half an hour to even get a complaint registered. Meenakshi Upreti has more on that.
It's a month since the Delhi Braveheart was brutally assaulted when she boarded the bus after an auto refused to take her to her destination. A month on, we still find autos routinely refuse to take passengers before 7 p.m. Some don't want to go by meter. Some just flatly refuse.
It's 9:30 at night and we've traveled around 22 kilometers in Delhi. I tried to board around 19 autos, out of which just one agreed to take me to my destination by meter.
Not just that, we find that these autos themselves may not be safe. An RTI query shows that hundreds of autos in the capital are registered at fake addresses.
ऐसी सैकड़ों गाड़ियां आज भी दिल्ली में दौड़ रही हैं जिनका कोई अता पता नहीं है.
At this address in East Delhi, 125 autos have been registered. The address belongs to 70-year-old Kusum Khanna and her children, who says they have nothing to do with the autos.
कभी पुलिस वाले आते हैं, कभी एक्सीडेंट केस आते हैं और उससे मुझे परेशानी होती है.
The Delhi government says it's trying its level best to control these errant autos.
High security number and GPS, ये दोनों हम लगा रहे हैं.
When I called the new women's helpline 181, they passed me from number to number.
कहाँ पे कॉल करना पड़ेगा?
With my complaint being registered only after 3 calls and 20 minutes. So the challenge ahead of the Delhi government is pretty clear, ensuring that autos don't deny passage to anyone and that their ownership is clearly verified. In New Delhi, Meenakshi Upreti.
Well, that means that there are still a lot of steps which need to be taken by the government to ensure that all these new measures which are being talked about are actually working on the ground. Okay, time for a break. After that, some more news from across the country. Ram Jethmalani has written a letter to BJP President Nitin Gadkari. A patch-up between the two very likely. Nitin Gadkari is set for another term as BJP President. And MIM supporters clash with police and media yet again in Hyderabad. Their leader, Akbaruddin Owaisi, sent to police custody for 5 days. Tennis Association snubs rebels led by Somdev Burman, picks a third-string team for Davis Cup.